Hey guys, we're here with Steve Szczepkowski. He is the audio... What is it again?
I'm the executive audio director on the Deus Ex franchise.
Thank you.
Big title.
I have a terrible memory.
Big title for a big last name.
What I do have is a deep love for this franchise.
Beautiful.
Human Revolution, great game.
Thank you
Love
so
it.
much.
Super excited for Mankind Divided. So I guess the first thing is, how soon did you guys know you wanted to do a sequel after Human Revolution?
I think right away. I think once they saw that the fan reaction was very positive, and people like yourself who didn't hesitate to say you guys did a great job, right away they wanted to do it. You know.
And do you guys know, did you automatically know you wanted to be Adam Jensen, or were you sort of like kicking around maybe some other ideas for main characters?
I think they knew they wanted to go continue with Adam Jensen. I'll be honest, I think we were all a bit surprised on how quickly he kind of became somewhat, if I can say it, an iconic character. But once he did, how do you walk away from that,
Totally, 100%. So I saw the playthrough yesterday.
Okay.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
I gotta get into some of these new augmentations. They're crazy.
Let's do it.
So I think first and foremost, the Nano Blade
Love it.
was insane. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So the Nano Blade is part of a new technology. Adam's got this new arm that we refer to it as the gun arm because it does contain numerous augmentations. One of them is the Nano Blade. It's actually a nanotechnology blade that forms in his arm. And so it's not like he's got 50 blades stored in his arm like a razor blade collection. It's actually nanomaterial that after he shoots will reform and build him a new blade in his arm. So the Nano Blade can be used as an impaling device. It's a projectile. It can also be used as an explosive device. As you saw, it can be shot and it heats up and then explodes and shatters and takes out and sends shrapnel out to take out any enemies who happen to be in that radius. So it's a very effective weapon, as well as being something a lot of fun to use. The other things in his arm, as you saw, there was the non-lethal Tesla.
Yeah.
The Tesla is like a ramped up taser on steroids. You can basically take down up to 4 enemies at the same time. And again, it's a way to empower the players who like to play non-lethal. And then one of the last ones is the PEPS, which you saw again, which is an energy propulsion system that can just, it's like a giant energy wave that takes down whatever's in front of it.
That's so cool. All right, so I think I do want to talk about one other thing with his augmentations. This was crazy, was this tank mode you guys have.
Yeah, that's the Titan.
Yeah.
It basically allows Adam, again, using nanotechnology, it builds a quick, almost organic shield around him so that he can absorb heavy fire for a short period of time. And that was designed to empower the sort of more combat style player.
So I find it really interesting that one of the things I loved about Human Revolution was this whole thing about the augmented people versus the regular people,
right.
And how not only do some people have augmentations to better their lives, but it's forced onto some people, which I thought was really interesting. But with Mankind Divided, we have this new kind of world, right, where augmented people are sort of being
feared.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Again, it kind of follows a bit of the Icarus mythology that we made part of our foundation in Human Revolution, and even tying into the art style with the colors and the palette. It was much more gold present in Human Revolution because it was representing that rise to the sun and that rise to take the next step in mankind evolving. But like Icarus, fell to the ground, it didn't work, it crashed, and now we see the flip side of it. People are much more suspicious of augmented. They don't want them around because of what happened at the end of Human Revolution. They can't necessarily be trusted. So they're being segregated, and the world reflects that even to the point of the color palettes that you see.
So I know that there's a little more emphasis on female characters in this time around. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. It was something that kind of deeply bugged me a bit about Human Revolution. It was a bit to do with the engine limitations and other stuff as well. Don't need to go into it. What's important is that we really wanted to make females part of the combatant world and not just NPCs walking around and, secretaries and all that. It's like, man, it's 2030. Like, let's get with it, and we did. So now there's female combatants through all the factions. You heard them in there. They're personally my favorite. I find they sound way more visceral and vicious than the guys do. But I find, again, it brings from an audio spectrum a whole other palette, because men's voices sit in one sort of frequency range, but now you've added this whole layer on top. A female voice has its own frequency range, so instead of all the barks of combatants being in here, you've now gone to here, which I feel, again, adds a much richer experience to the player, especially on an auditory level.
100%. So I know that, playing the game, I felt like, things like Blade Runner, RoboCop, obviously just everything cyberpunk themed, is sort of part of this game. But going from like an audio sort of, realm where, of course, you live, were those the movies you were watching to get inspiration, or where would you get your inspiration come with these sounds? Honestly,
anywhere. I don't necessarily sit down and take apart. Well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes I'll do, like when I'm a good example, and tell me if I'm going in a bad place. You saw the drones. We probably nailed that sound about a month to 2 months before E3. And that's a sound I've been chasing for about a year and a half. And it went through from different sound designers where I was like, okay, well, you take it for a while. And we kept kind of coming up with the same sort of sound. And I knew I wanted a very almost insect wasp-like sound. And that was a sound that always kind of, like when a bee comes too close to you, for me, I get this sort of reaction of that fluttery feeling, and I wanted that. And I did investigate stuff like Oblivion to see how they did their drones. That's one of my favorite drones. But again, the sound fits perfectly with the design. It's a sphere-like drone. It moves a certain way, and the sounds fit beautifully with it. But that's not ours. So I needed to find our version of that. And it took a while, but I'm like super stoked with what we have. I'm hoping it actually becomes kind of a signature sound, because it's one of those sounds that when you're going to hear it, right away, like, oh man, the drone's coming. That sucks. I got to get out of here, which is what I wanted.
That's awesome. Okay, so in the original game, well, not the original game, but a Human Revolution, I love the Typhoon. Yep. That was the best thing ever, right? You're basically a walking grenade. I don't know how much you can talk about this, but will the Typhoon or other augmentations from Human Revolution be part of this, along with the new ones?
What I will say, without JP shooting me, is we did a lot of research on what we felt the fans told us, what augmentations they wanted to see back again, and the ones that maybe didn't rock their world as much. So I'm pretty safe to say that all the ones that everybody really liked will be back again.
So, okay, one more question. And I have one, but did you want to ask one? Okay, cool. So, is it, I think one of the great things about Deus Ex Human Revolution was the fact that there was a lot of stealth involved along with action. Is there pressure, do you think, to go more towards the action side, or do you guys feel like totally cool with having stealth be a big part of it?
Oh no, stealth is one of the pillars of the game. Stealth, combat, hacking, and social. I think our goal on this game is we're not perfect. We make mistakes like everybody else, and in hindsight, we kind of realized that maybe the 4 pillars were somewhat stacked unevenly, and some play styles kind of had more of a fun factor, and we didn't want to penalize any type of play style. So what we really focused on this time was making everything even, so that no matter how you chose to play, non-lethal, whatever, the fun factor was there. We've added a lot, like you'll notice Human Revolution, there was some non-lethal stuff, but it was definitely geared a bit more towards lethal stuff. Yeah. We've balanced that out now. All play styles are balanced. You'll be able to play it non-lethal and have an easier time, an easier go at it. But combat was something we knew we had to bring up to the stealth level. Stealth was definitely the best part of HR. Now I think they're all even, and you saw combat today. It's completely different from HR, very dynamic. The whole area reacts to you. The bark system's much richer, the AI is richer, so it's an all-around much more visceral experience.
Awesome. Can I have time for one really quick question?
Quick question.
Okay, really quick question.
Sure.
Is there gonna be a return to Nigerian spam emails?
There would have to be. There would have to be. Emails are a fun part of the game, so I encourage people, especially the ones who, as I like to say, want to go all the way down the rabbit hole. read everything. I guarantee you that's one of the funnest parts of the game is doing all the emails and everything like that. There's always a lot of great stuff in there.
Thank you so much.
Hey, man, my pleasure.
Great.
Thank you for your
Thank
time and
you.
interest.